Greetings, my name is Silvana Ochoa and I am from the Computer Science Department. My mentor was Dr. Sujing for this research. She also, by the way, won a mentoring award for Expo 2022, so congratulations to her. And so I will begin with my research topic. My research was conducted over COVID-19 pandemic's impact on education and students. So the motivation behind my research was to measure how different aspects of the pandemic affected students. And so one of the factors that I measured was how stressed were students during the pandemic compared to before the pandemic period. I also measured the performance of students in terms of their grades, how were their grades affected by the pandemic, and also what digital products were being used during this time by districts around the country. And so my study focused primarily on 6th through 12th grade. So this was middle school to high school grade levels. And I wanted to identify candidates that were at risk during the pandemic. So basically what students were most affected, and then see what common characteristics were shared among the most affected students. And by doing so, we could probably come up with some solutions that could help students be able to have the help that they need so that they can strive instead of, do bad or struggle during the pandemic, and also apply these solutions to other unprecedented circumstances. So these could be things like severe weather, emergencies, and maybe even future pandemics. So in terms of my experimental results, as I mentioned earlier, I conducted my tests on middle school to high school grade levels, and I measured 3 different factors, which were the stress, the performance, and the engagement. I conducted 2 specific statistical tests, the t-test and the correlation tests. And from what we can see here, the stress database showed that the t-test proved students rated higher in terms of stress during the pandemic period than before the pandemic period. So students were, in fact, feeling more stressed during the pandemic period. We also found that there was no correlation between the homework stress and number of hours spent on homework. So there was really no proof that students could attribute the number of hours spent to the levels of stress that they experience in doing homework. For the performance, we also saw that there was no clear indication on whether there were higher or lower scores during the pandemic as compared to before. And so we also can't say for a fact that students were performing any better or worse, or, whether there was any differences in terms of grades. We also saw that there were no factors that were tested were really proved to have any responsibility for the grades that were observed. And so again, that's probably another thing that we could expand on in the future. For the engagement, we tested for the highest student accesses and the highest engagement. So student accesses refers to the number of times an individual is going to go and check for log into a specific platform and use it. But the engagement refers to how active they are being in that specific platform over time. And so that was measured by the number of page loads that were done to a specific platform. And so as we can see here, Google Classroom product had the highest student accesses, and Google Docs had the highest engagement levels observed. And so, yes, this was definitely true, as I did have specific high school students and middle school students tell me that they were indeed using these products during the pandemic. So that was interesting to see. So after I found all of my findings, I decided to provide a couple of solutions on what could be some possible suggestions on how to help students in terms of their stress and handling online learning. And so I first thought that schools could develop programs that could help students cope with stress. And this could be done through Zoom or any other platform that they've been using for classes. But this could be done on one-on-one, and we could have a school counselor or even a teacher who can talk with students and just take care of their mental health and make sure that they're getting the attention that they need. So that was one of my suggestions. I also thought that we could provide online one-to-one sessions for struggling students. So that's basically similar to what I mentioned in the previous suggestion, but this could also be attributed to organizing schedules. So students in these grade levels are probably not as capable of organizing their schedules themselves. They're probably used to teachers telling them due dates and always keeping track of them and making sure that they're getting their work done. And also, we could provide tutoring opportunities online. And this could be done with, it doesn't have to be one-on-one. This could probably be with multiple students online and just have them attend these sessions to basically help them understand the lessons better and make sure that they're really keeping up with their work. So that was just another suggestion that could help. And then I also suggested that schools should test usage of multiple digital products. So this would be probably a little bit more difficult to do, but I felt that digital products do indeed have some kind of responsibility or effect on how students are performing and how comfortable they are in accessing homework and attending classroom and just being active in terms of schoolwork. So that was just another idea to test different digital products and see which ones are preferred or which ones prove to have a better effect in helping students perform better. And so I also felt like my research could definitely be expanded because there is a lot of area that was not covered and that there definitely can be covered. And the pandemic really did have an impact on a lot of areas, and especially in the education system. And there's just so many factors that can be tested that I was not able to do. And so I felt that, for example, teachers' opinions on the subject were not considered for my particular research. And that's something that could be very interesting, getting their perspective on it and seeing how indeed students are performing in their opinion. Also, testing on university students. As I said, I only tested from middle school to high school, so university students would definitely be another sample that would be interesting to cover and try to understand and manipulate and really research on. Also, measuring other possible causes. So there were only a certain number of factors that I tested on, such as number of computers used, also family income, family education, family size, and things like that. So those were some of the factors that I tested on. However, there's so many factors that can be considered. For example, whether a student has a job or not, and how this job has, taken over their time to, perform and really focus on school. So that's just another example as to other possible causes or factors that can be measured, not simply the ones that I tested on. So thank you. That is the premise of my research. I wanted to thank OUR and also my mentor, Dr. Wang, in the computer science department for allowing me this opportunity to conduct my research. And I have to say this was probably one of the best experiences in my entire university career because it definitely allowed me to expand my social network and learn from others and really pick up new technologies and new skills that are going to affect my future and my career overall. So thank you, and that is all. Thank you.